Good afternoon, it's Lee Cassidy from Tactile Technology. So it's our regular session, but on a Thursday this week because I was on a course Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so I couldn't do anything. But we've got our In the Hot Seat where we get our guests to tell us all about what they've been doing in their life, how the career's gone so far, and what they're doing at the moment as well, usually with our extra 2 question at the end. So this week we've got something a little bit different. We're normally doing tech businesses. We've done a variety of other types of businesses, but this is the first for me. I've never interviewed a butcher before, so here we go. We've got Chris Lacey. How are you doing, Chris?
Very well. How are you? Okay?
Right, so we normally start off with where it all started. So tell us a bit about where you grew up, your parents, what they did for a living, kind of things you did as a child, hobbies and interests, and what you'd plan to do with yourself while you're going through that schooling era. Were you going to be a pilot, a train driver, a vet, a funeral director? What were the plans?
Yeah, so basically we grew up in Yardleywood. My dad worked at the Rover. Obviously, the Rover was struggling at the time. My mum was working 2 jobs. She was working at Safeways and she was a cleaner as well. So a lot of the time I spent a lot of the young times looking after my younger brother.
Okay.
So as I grew up at school, never really knew what I wanted to do at the time. But then I had a friend at school whose dad owned the shop down the road, which was the butcher's. So I was 13/14. And I asked him if we could get a Saturday job because, it's always helpful because mum and dad always struggled for a bit of cash. So I thought, right, I'll get myself a job and try and make a go of it, just washing a few bits and bobs up and get involved with that. And it was right by the school as well, so it was an after-school job. So that
it was ideal for you then, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
I'm sure there were some extras, weren't there, thrown in when you were working there? You get something to take home for mum as well?
Yeah, but occasionally you get a few of the burgers that you made up, and then you'll have a packet of pork scratchings for dad if you take that home.
Okay.
And at that time, the shop wasn't amazingly busy, but I always found it really interesting to watch what Mark was doing and Max, and I just found it mesmerising. I just like to watch, and I wanted to learn myself. So
a lot of people aren't familiar with what goes in a butcher shop anyway, because all they see is the product of it, what's out in the front, in the window, and what's put into the paper, or whatever we're wrapping stuff in these days, because it keeps changing, doesn't it? We seem to be going back to paper and things at the moment.
Yeah, that's right.
So tell us about the kind of stuff you did when you were like 13, 14 then.
So yeah, there was a few jobs to do. So basically, you had to scrub the block, you had to wash the mincer. To make sure basically the job was mainly cleaning, just to make sure that everything was clean and tidy. And then occasionally you get to do a bit of mince, and that'd be exciting. And
pushing through the mince.
Yeah, that was very exciting. Cleaning out the fridges, the offal tubs, the worst possible jobs that you could think of. Scrubbing the block, which is still the hardest job on the planet to do. So you got to do 2 blocks, and you got to do all that, and you virtually got no money, but it was good fun.
So how much were you earning then on a Saturday for doing that?
So I used to work Tuesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday after school till 5.
Yeah.
And then I used to work Saturday 12 till 4, and I used to get 20 quid a week.
That's not bad, really. Thinking back to my days, I used to work in a clothes shop when I was a kid, and I can't think of getting 20 quid a week for it.
Yeah, it was nice to have a bit of cash.
Having a bit of money in your pocket's nice, isn't it? So that must have given you a bit of an idea what it was going to be about. So did you go straight from doing that like part-time job into doing it full-time, or did you try something else first?
No, I went straight into it. I wanted to take on the full role that Mark had at the shop, which was everything I wanted to do. I was really actually very upset when I couldn't take on the role. I didn't know what I was going to do myself because my heart was set on that shop, that job, and that was what I was doing for the rest of my life. So if it wasn't for a family friend who said that somebody else was looking for a butcher in Bourneville, I don't know what would have happened to me. I have no clue, because I wanted to do that, and that's all I wanted to do.
So what was the name of the shop in Bourneville you went to?
It was Roster's Organic Butchers. It was Birmingham's first organic butcher. It was in the Quaker area. So it was completely different to what I was used to. The people were completely different to what I was used to, like in Hollywood. Hollywood, where people were friendly, chatty. It was very community-based in Hollywood, but Bourneville was absolutely nothing like that. But it was right by Cadbury's, and very, very different. But yeah, different way to learn.
Was it quite busy then, because it was close to the factory?
It was a busy shop. It was busy on the side of, because it was organic as well. So they had, all the people that wanted just organic meat, and it was a completely different way to do anything. Nothing was prepared in the same way. It worked completely different. The shop sold different things. It was like going into a new world, really.
So how did you start out then? What kind of things did you have to learn to get kicked off?
When I started there, in fact, there was another guy that worked there called Darren who sort of mentored me, and I got thrown straight in the deep end, straight into serving on a Saturday. It was a lot of cleaning again when you start off as the youngster, a lot of lifting. At the other place, everything came in full carcass beef and everything, so a lot of lifting. Just assisting really, because the person who took me on didn't really let me cut anything for at least 12, 18 months. It was very basic, but just a lot of serving really, basically being a counter hand, as well as doing the job I was doing before. So it was a bit weird.
But I'm sure there was a lot to learn still, because all the different cuts of meat and the types of things.
Yeah.
It's just learning how. Not everybody understands every single, like cuts of beef. There's so many, isn't there? Different types, and also like on the edges, on the cusp between things as well. So like topside rump, and then there's different terminology in different parts of the country for the same things.
There's absolutely loads to, and to be fair, like I did before, I never stopped learning. I never stopped watching. And a lot of the ways that I learned was watching what they were doing. So that's how I learned all the cuts and everything. And I've always took a lot on board anyway. So whatever I was taught, it stayed. And then when it did come to it, I was able to do it properly and stuff. But
you said some of the things that you were selling there were different to Mark's shop. So what was different there when you moved to this that was organic? What kind of things were you seeing different?
So all the meat was different, because Mark could buy some cuts in. He'd buy a bit of box beef and he'd buy all different varieties of stuff. But there was no game. We didn't sell any game at the shop in Birmingham. It was good, like venison, game. They sold fish there as well. So there was like monkfish, salmon, all sorts of different cuts and stuff. And the chickens came differently. The pricing was massively different as well, because organic was double the price. And basically the cuts of beef were different as well, because we'd only have Scotch beef in Hollywood, and then at Bourneville there was having heifers that were a lot more fat on, very hard to maintain. Everything seemed to be different, like the animals, like free range pork that had hair on, and it was really weird and different. But
so quite a lot of change for you then.
Yeah, it was definitely completely different. No care homes. They didn't serve any care homes at the shop before. We had 12 care homes, and cutting things up and packing it was a massive thing. But at Bourneville, they didn't have anything like that. It was all customer based. You didn't have any orders. You just served people. So
was it all over the counter, or did people order things for postal or anything else?
No, it was all over the counter in Bourneville. It was completely, people come in, he served them, and it used to take an age to serve them as well.
So how many years were you there?
5 years I was there.
So you said, was it 12, 14 months before you started to cut? So what was the first thing you did, and how did you get on with it?
So basically, the thing I started off with was the pigs, because it was cheap.
So if you made a mistake, it wasn't so much of an issue.
No, it wasn't so much bad. I don't think I ever cut hindquarter there, even the whole time I was there up until 21, because anything that was expensive, I wasn't allowed to touch. So you start with cutting all the hocks off, all the cheap cuts, boning them out. Doing all the cheaper things that, sausages. I never learned how to make sausage there, but we made sausage as well. So you got everything ready for that. You get the sausage mixes ready. You do all the burgers. You do all, the bod jobs, I call it.
Yeah.
The things that take a lot of time, but nobody wants to do, but they've got to be done, if you know what I mean.
So there's quite a lot to learn there. So I know you went into a competition. Was it straight on the back of what you did there, or did you go somewhere else first before you entered the Young Butcher of the Year competition?
I went to Mark's shop, and it was about 8 months. I think it was about 8 months after I went back to Mark. It came up in the newspaper, and somebody said, "Yo, you should have a go." And to be honest, being completely honest, looking at all the other craft butchers and all the other ones that were on there, they were much better than me. But I just had to use blind ability, I call it. I just had to make things up as I go along, and I just tried to use these skills that I didn't really have, but I'd learnt by watching. So How I got through to the final, I don't know, but I must have had something.
I remember watching it. It was BBC Three, I think you reminded me of it earlier. So, but it's a while ago, isn't it? So.
Oh yeah, 10 years. No, not 10 years. Longer, 14 years ago now.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
So a while ago. So, how did you get on then? Because you got all these people that seem to have a lot more experience than you. You seem to be flying by the seat of your pants. What was it? It was just blind ambition. You just wanted to win, and you wanted to be competitive. How did you get through to that final?
I'm really competitive. I am very competitive, and I would say that I've got the chat. So I managed to talk my way through the interviews. I got a little bit lucky on a couple of occasions. I think because a few people who were decent there made a few mistakes, and I just didn't take it too. I didn't make it too seriously. I thought, just do your best. Show a bit of your charisma. Show how much you love the job, which I did love the job. And I went for it. And I even beat somebody who's an award-winning Scottish champion sausage maker. My sausages were the best there, and that was I'd never made them. So
I hope you've kept that recipe then. If they were that good.
I've got the recipe still. We're keeping that in cold storage. We'll bring that back when we go quiet.
So what did you get on the back of the competition? Was there any job offers, anything else, or what did you get from it, or just quite a bit of publicity?
I think the main thing was because they describe it as you're going to get this amazing thing and you're going to win all this money and all that, but the main thing that come out of it was exposure, publicity. The butchers at the time, I don't think we were doing great. We were doing okay, but once this Young Butcher of the Year took off, it went bang. And then all of that stuff I'd been waiting to do and all the experience that I hadn't had came out after that. And I just started making loads of different things. The sausages took off. We did the Ultimate Breakfast Bangers. That was the best seller for about 6 months. And we probably went up 30% in trays. And everyone, because we was on Harry Hill as well, it was on ITV. So everyone wanted to come and look. So it was really good. Mark, I would say that I got the best experience by being on the TV, but Mark got the best out of it by me being on there. I didn't get much money
from a business perspective. He did well out of it.
Yeah.
Definitely. But these things happen, don't they? Especially when you're young. You
I've only got to look
put the
around
effort
now
in.
to think it should have happened for a reason. So
definitely. That's it. So what happened after that then? So you had a good year, sounds like, working, selling these extraordinary sausages. You're keeping the recipe secret too, and things. What happened as that went on then?
So after that, we got a lot of publicity off the back of it. So I was doing regular broadcast interviews on BBC WM. I had like a little slot. So they'd phone me, and if I was only 21, they was phoning me about, what was happening with the meat industry, what was happening with this. I'll be honest, I didn't have an absolute clue, but I just had to sort of wing it. And it sounded good, I sounded good on the radio. They wanted to have me back, and Joanne Mailey would come friendly with us. She brought us a lot of attention and stuff, and I thought it's great. So trade picked up and picked up and picked up, and as that picked up, we cut more meat. I got more experience, and I got more adventurous to want to run the shop then, rather than just stay as I was and be a worker. I mean, Mark was great to work with. He took everything on. He let me do whatever I wanted. He wasn't like one of these power ego bosses. He was very much put the hand behind me and push me on and say, come on, you can do it. And it really did make a difference in the end, to be fair.
Yeah. So you've been there quite a while. Was it 14 years were you there?
Yeah, 14 years now, yeah.
Yeah. So you've just taken over, haven't you, recently? So was it about 6 months ago, you said?
Yeah, September.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did it change at that point? Did he let you into the secrets of how the accounts were done and all the other of running a business before you took over, or is it last minute? Here's the books. Goodbye.
It's quite a long story, to be honest. I would say I've been running the shop. I've never run the accounts or anything. I've never paid the bills. I looked over a few things, tried to tighten a few things up on our costs and everything. That was mainly, but Mark always did all the paying, but I always did all the buying. So I've done the buying.
So you were running really the shop itself, but just not doing the account side of it.
Yeah. So when I took over in September, it was a massive drop. To try and work out the difference between being a worker and just doing that, to try and do everything. So it has been a bit mind-boggling. It's been different. I've enjoyed it, but it has been stressful. And moving forward, I feel like the skills I built up over the last 5 years running it, if I wouldn't have had those, I think I'd have floundered. I think I'd have ended up right in the. I wouldn't have been good, but now it's doing really well. We couldn't ask for it to be any better, to be honest.
So when did you start changing how the butchered would work as opposed to a traditional butcher's then? Adding this craft type view. Is that before you took over 6 months ago? So how long ago was it you started that?
I would say that when I was about 25. So I set up a Facebook page.
So about 10 years ago-ish, because you coming up 35 or just 35 now?
35. I'm just 35. I set up a Facebook page, Lacey's Craft Butchers, 10 years ago. And up until about 5 years ago, I only had about, 500 followers, something like that, 600. But then at that time, I thought, right, now's the time. I introduced some branding and different products that are called Verstegen, a company called Dalziel, and other products that are really exciting for butchers to use. You have to know the flavours, and it makes ready-to-cook products in the shop. So we started those, I'd say, mainly 5 years ago, got that going. It cost a hell of a lot of money to get it going, because at that time, the sundries bill was only about £50 a week. And then it went up to £500 a week. And because we weren't taking that much. But Mark believed in me to say, I said, look, it's going to work. And then since then, it just went up and up and up. And I would say 65% of the stuff we sell now is ready-to-cook products and things that we make in store.
So give us an example then of one of these things that you introduced 5 years ago then that people weren't buying at that time from a butcher.
Okay, so one of the first creations that I made, which is still a massive one now, is a basic hunter's chicken bake. So instead of chicken breast, so we mince the chicken breast and we turn it into like a burger shaped form. Barbecue sauce, which is a sliceable sauce, which evaporates at 70 degrees and turns into a proper sauce. Cheese, and then we topped it with barbecue puff pastry. Then we put the World Grill oil on, which is very vibrant, very orange, and very appealing when you walk in. But when you cook it, it all melts out and everything. So for £6.50, you're getting two massive portions that came in a silver tray, ready to go. Virtually like Marks and Spencer's, but made in store, completely made by us. We know all the ingredients, all the additives are taken out of it, and it was a great thing. And those took off, and it was one of the very many first things that we started to make.
That's one of the problems with a lot of pre-packed stuff. There's a lot of additives, isn't there?
Yeah.
A lot of preservatives as well, because a lot of it's got quite a long shelf life. Yeah. So they're putting things in it to keep it going for a long time, which is not always the best for your body either, is it? Some of these preservatives. So you're effectively creating the same meal without the preservatives, all from fresh ingredients in the butcher shop, and then all you have to do is chuck it in the oven and cook it.
Yeah, it's for people with fast lives, because people used to buy all the ingredients. You just get your meat, you get all your vegetables, because the shop did, up until 12 months ago, used to sell vegetables. But I had to stop all that because of it just wasn't working, because there's too much competition. You can get good quality, cheap vegetables now at a low cost, and what we were buying it for, we were losing money. So now I created things that all you had to do was bosh in the oven, put something with it. Very simple, 30 minutes. For your average, working person, you haven't got much time now, because as a family, normally both couple work now. You don't get someone stay at home, because you simply couldn't afford to live like that. So they get it, half an hour in the oven, they finish work, they've got a meal within 45 minutes, job's done, and even the trays go in the recycling. So you're not making a waste, you're not making a mess, and you're getting a real packed meal full of flavour, and it's been handmade as well. It's not been made in a factory. It's not been mass produced. It's been made at one single place, and that's what I like. And that's
and a lot of this stuff from factories, it's shipped all over the country. You're not sure where the actual meats come from. At least you know where the meats come from. You know all the other ingredients where they've come from. So there's a bit of that connection, isn't there, to the source, which I think is important. So these have taken off really well. A lot of people come in and buy those rather than the traditional approach of buying mince and doing it themselves, or buying other meat products.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's
you're saying, was it 65% of your sales now?
I'd say 65% of our sales now are stuff that we make in the shop, rather than just selling meat. And it's all driven by social media. I'd 100% say that most of our customers come through Facebook, Instagram, a little bit through the website because you can get the link to the Facebook. But that's the driving force of the whole business has been the Facebook page. If we wouldn't have started that 10 years ago and driven it forward, it wouldn't have worked because nobody'd see it. You need to see what you know, videos, demos, competitions. People like to see the people that are in your shop as well, the staff that are in your shop, and what's actually going on and what you're doing. I think it's a brilliant thing if you do it right.
Yeah, so you're actually doing demos of cooking them, so taking the prepared, putting it in the oven, showing what it looks like, doing tests and things, and you're showing all that on Instagram and Facebook then?
Yeah, we do all that as well. Yeah, I like to show people what they're getting and, you know, entice them to come and try it. And that's the main thing is they can see what they're getting and it's exciting and we all get on and we all like the same things as well. So the customers are more like friends as well. You know, it's really good. You got a real good relationship.
Sounds a bit different to the traditional, you know, big fat butcher stood outside made of, fiberglass, you know, painted with his hat on and everything, and a cardboard and a blackboard with some pricing on.
Yeah,
you know, sounds quite different to that. Your approach, quite a modern approach. So you call yourself a craft butcher. What's the difference between what you say is a craft butcher and a traditional butcher then?
Yeah. See, our slogan is traditional but exciting because we hold all the values of the traditional butchers. We still dry age our beef. We still buy, you know, sides of pork. We still have whole lambs. We still have all the traditional things. But now, on the other side, the craft butchery is like the artisan, ready-to-cook products, things that are flavoured, you know, something that little bit different and exciting. So we do both. But the craft butcher stems from they make on-site, you know, ready-to-cook food as well.
So give us another example then of, you know, what's your second highest selling of these, you know, pre-prepared things you do in the shop?
Yeah, so might as well give a barbecue season one, and it was one of my first creations as well that I worked with alongside someone called David. It's the chili bomb. So it's a hot and spicy burger mix, which is made up of some chuck beef. You know, so you've got a good 30-70 quantity of fat. So it's good quality meat that's been used in the burger mix as well. Then you've got a sliceable garlic sauce, which is the same basis as the barbecue sauce. So sliceable garlic, and then you've got Mexican cheddar, mozzarella, chopped finely jalapenos, and then we're using a Kona sauce. And then it's coated again on the outside in the vibrant Mexican oil. So that's like an explosive, you know, melt in the middle burger. And that's another one of our massive sellers. And they're in barbecue season, you're talking 120, 150 a week.
Yeah, that's quite a reasonable amount, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a lot of burgers, especially those.
It is, yeah, definitely. Especially if you're making them up as well first.
Yeah, making them all by hand as well.
Yeah, so it's a bit more of an effort than buying things in and selling them out, which are, you know, some butchers still do that, don't they? They buy stuff in pre-prepared, and you just sticking it in front of people, and they just buy it from you know, from the shelf, you know, already pre-done. But you're not sure where the stuff's come from, though, are you? All you know is which wholesale you bought it from.
I don't enjoy that. I couldn't enjoy that. You know, if I hadn't made it and I didn't know what was in it, or I was selling something that was pre-packaged and thinking, what's the point? You might as well go and work in Sainsbury's. There's no love in it doing that. I like to know that everything that's made on site, every single bit, I look over everything so I know when it goes out the door, it's absolutely perfect. Nobody can come back and tell me that it's any different because I know everything that's gone in it and where it's come from as well. So that's amazing. So
coming back to what's happened the last 2 years with the pandemic and everything, do you think people have got more used to buying local? Do you think that's helped you as well, or is it more your approach to, you know, encouraging people to try things that are new, different, and then know, you know, that it's all been made in house?
I think the pandemic, obviously there was a lot of losers on that side, and I feel really sorry for them. But the butchers done the best that they could have ever done. People came back to the butchers and local shops. It couldn't have been any better for local shops, I don't think. And our trade definitely wouldn't be the same if it wasn't for the pandemic. It definitely went up and up and up because people had to use local. But we have kept a good portion of the people that used us in the pandemic as well. So it was a good thing for us, but not a good thing overall. But yeah, definitely. Us driving it and everything does help. But if it wouldn't have been for the pandemic, it would have been hard to keep that sort of keeping that standard.
Getting the momentum and keeping it
definitely.
going. Yeah.
100%.
So, do your customers, are they come in regular every week, or is it, do people come in daily?
Yeah, we have a mixture really. We have some people that come in every day, our locals that we talk to every day, and we have a chat with them, the usual. Then we have weekly people that get the shopping, and then some people buy monthly. We have customers that come from quite far away. So I've got some customers living in Newcastle, Scotland. Come up, visit.
That's a way to go to a butcher's, isn't it?
They visit family and they buy £200-300 worth of meat and then go back.
Stick it in the freezer and then just take it out as they work through the month.
We have quite a fair few of those actually, so it's nice to know that they would wait all that time to just buy the meat off us. They're really good actually.
Yeah. And so that says something if somebody's willing to travel that distance.
That's right.
Definitely, isn't it? So what else have you got plans for? So I know your cousin Dave, don't I? So Dave and I bump into each other usually quite regularly on the wreck down at Yardley Wood with Coco spinning around like a loop, running all over the place, and my dog Heidi trying to keep up with Coco as it's going. So we talk on a regular basis, and every now and again he tells me, "Oh yeah, Chris has got these ideas for this, that, and the other." So what the ideas you've got that you're going to try and do now, what you're looking to do next year, what's the future hold, what kind of stuff have you got plans for that you think people might be interested in?
I've always been ambitious. I probably give myself too much to do most of the time.
I think a lot of us do.
I think the wife would back me up on that because I like a bit of pressure. So the shop was the main basis. We wanted to change it round. We always wanted to, fix a few things up, spend a few quid. I'd love to in the future have a big shop refit and have dry aging cabinets in the windows and go to that really next level. Do you know, you see in London? And you see those real bespoke shops, which have.
We've got a comment from Vicky Pierce saying that the best craft butchery, definitely. Defo try if you haven't before. Always innovative and fresh. So hopefully who Vicky is.
Oh, I do. Yeah, she's a good friend actually.
Yeah.
Hello, Vicky. So moving forward, I'd love to go to the next level. I think that some places have infinite amounts of money. I mean, don't get me wrong. In the short time that I've had the shop, we've changed quite a lot and we've done very well. So that is the main goal. That's the big goal. But next, I'd like to do cooked food as well. I bought a pig roaster, and I'm going to start doing pig roasts outside the shop. I'm hoping to build something on the side of the shop in the yard to do breakfast sandwiches, next level food really, not just your everyday £1 bath. I don't like, I want it to be craft sandwiches, the next level sandwiches, like stuff like we make in the shop.
Some you can't just buy off the shelf in another supermarket.
This ain't no average stuff. It's got to be I wouldn't want to do it otherwise. There's no point. Obviously, and that's the goal really. I don't really want loads of shops. People say, why don't you open a shop here, open a shop there? I'm the main driver in the business. So if anybody else did it, it wouldn't be right because I'm a bit of a control freak.
You'll dilute the value. Yeah.
So I like to drive it the way I drive it and hopefully employ a few more staff as well because it's hard to get butchers as well. But I've been looking for a while.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because it's hard work and people don't want to take hard work on, or are people just like disillusioned about what a butcher might be as a job?
Yeah, I think it's the second part, definitely. People think it's all blood and guts and all that, and I think it's more like these days in our shop, you need one butcher who can learn all the traditional cuts and back up the other person, and the other person's just got to be incredibly excited about food. You've got to want to make flavours. You've got to learn the basics and the concepts. It is early starts and it is long days, and that puts off a lot of people. Saturday work definitely puts off a lot of people because they think, oh, I want Monday to Friday and I want 50 grand a year. And unfortunately, it doesn't exist. And I've had a few come to me and they want a lot of money, and I'm willing to pay good money for the right person, but butchery seems to have gone out of fashion. You can find butchers, but they might be 60. They might have bad habits, like the old days, where rude to customers, bad attitudes, just hack and slash. It's no good now. You need the bespoke, but they don't come along often, unfortunately. And there ain't many more coming through, unless it's in Scotland, because there's loads in Scotland. So if I can entice a young Scottish butcher to come out,
yeah, you never know. Well, if you've got
know.
them coming down to buy your goods, then you might get one come down
come
to work
down
for you as well. Yeah, it does make a difference when you find a really good butcher, though. We used to go on holiday over in Wales, and in the next village over from where we were staying, there was a Welsh butcher who got the best sausages in Wales for something like 3 or 5 years in a row, and the difference was amazing. It was dramatically different. You got something where you cook it and there's no liquid comes out of it. It tastes meaty. It tastes really nice to eat. And it does make a big difference. And in this area, the Lashfords is the one most people talk about, isn't it? Because they've been around a long, long time. But finding a good sausage does make a big difference.
Oh yeah, that's why we only have Lashfords.
There's a very good butcher's in Bridgenorth. I think if you've been over to Bridgenorth on the main street there, and he does loads of different sausages and things like that, as well as traditional butchery and that. And finding a place like that close to you, I think, is a gold mine. Something that makes a big difference. But coming back to something from my perspective, so we've spent years, working out what we're doing. I've been running this business 19 years. I run at the moment Tactile Technology. But what we've found over the last 3 or 4 years working with Aston University, it's outcomes that matter. It's what the end user, what the customer gets out of it. And it seems like you've seen that now. You're seeing that they're actually more interested in what the end product is and how much effort they need to get to that end product being a good product, especially when they've got limited time. So, you seem to have, got the bull by the horns, even though you're a butcher, in that you're looking at outcomes, which is quite important. It's, making sure that someone can quickly grab something out of the fridge, stick it in the oven, 20 minutes, half an hour later, they've got a good meal. And it is hard to do that, especially when you've got, high prices in supermarkets and you've also got high volumes of additives in a lot of these products as well. Having the ability to, satisfy the family, but also do it in a healthier and quicker way of doing it. It sounds you've got, a great idea there.
Oh yeah, no, that's it. It's 100%. It's got to be for the customer as well. Everything's got to suit the customer's needs.
So do you want to tell everybody where you are? We put up the website. We put all the things. You're in Hollywood. So where in Hollywood is it easy to find the shop?
Yeah, it's just off the Alcester Road. So if you were going down the main Alcester Road, you'd look at the Packles. We're a direct left to the Packles. So he's in the bottom of a dip. It's in a little row of shops. There's some good shops down there as well. There's a good chemist, great chippy. There's hairdressers, barbers. There's Monsoon, which is quite a popular restaurant as well. So yeah, it's a good area, nice area.
So they could pop in, have their hair cut, and get some decent food at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So a lot of people do that. The barbers are usually drilling it up.
So tell everybody, what else would you like people to know about Lacey's Craft Butchers then?
The main thing about Lacey's Craft Butchers, it's just a great, friendly environment to come into, somewhere that serves great quality food, is a local, there isn't somebody at the top of the chain that's earning millions of pounds. We just want to look after you and make sure that everyone gets well fed, that all of our staff are happy, all of our customers are happy, and everyone has a happy life really with food. And just be excited about food, because when you come in and see our display, it's a blockbuster display. You're not coming in looking at your general 2 slabs of meat and a bit of liver. This is the bespoke colours, flavours, quality meat. You get all the package in one with our shop, and that's it.
Sounds good. Well, we've been putting up some of the banners, like the Facebook page here. If you want to look on Facebook, Lacey's Craft Butchers. We've also got the Instagram one. So if you want to look on Instagram, being Instagram, I'm assuming there's lots of photographs of everything that you do as well on there. Videos, are they on the Facebook page, like showing how things are cooked and what they look like when they've completed? So let's introduce a bit of a competition. So why don't everybody go and have a look on there, pick something out, go and buy something from Lacey's Craft Butchers, cook it, and then give us a review on it. And we'll see how people think and compare it to your local supermarket, something similar you've bought. Let's see what we can do and how people can enjoy that. So that'd be really good if you can do that. So, check it out. Demos, Instagram, photos, stuff on Facebook, give it a go. So we're going to come to our final two questions that we talked about earlier. So first one, it's food related, so it should work quite well in your favour. So what's the best meal you've ever had? Where was it? What was it? And why was it the best meal?
Right, it was a lunchtime meal, and it was with my wife because we don't get out often together. We went to Fiesta del Asado in Sherwood.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We had the cook that was the different cook from the other Fiesta del Asado there, and I had flat iron steak, and it's probably one of the best steaks I've ever had. I really enjoyed the meal. The company was quite good as well.
Okay, yeah, you've got to say that, haven't you?
It was just after lockdown, so it was the first meal we'd had out, and we sat outside with the heaters on. And you know what? That's probably my most favourite meal I've ever had.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are enjoying that freedom, weren't they? When we could get out and do things again. But yeah, when we ask this question with everybody else, it's usually an emotive thing. So there's some tie to something that happened in the life, and I think food is very emotional, isn't it? How you feel about food. It can be negative as well. We hear of people having problems and things with particular meals or cost of them. Was it Salt Bay or however you pronounce his name in London, charging people hundreds of pounds for something you could buy for about 40 quid.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And people will pay it, because he's got glasses and he can drop salt off his arm onto it. So, and you get the photo opportunity. So, but it's all about emotion, isn't it? And tying to a point in time. Now, it's similar to music. A lot of people think of particular songs because, it was what they danced to at their wedding or something that happened in their life, and it ties to a particular piece of music. And food is very emotive. I find it as well. So the second question though was, what's the most adventurous thing you've done other than taking on the butchers 6 months ago?
The most adventurous thing I've ever done by 1,000,000% is I did the Dirty Dancing dance at my wedding with my mates and surprised my wife, and we're going to New York. That was the most dangerous and crazy thing I've ever done in my life.
Including tabletop lift?
Yeah. Choreographed. we did it in a sports hall first. We just come back off my stag doing Benidorm. Me and my best mate went and practiced it in the park, and then we pulled it off on my wedding day. That is the craziest thing I've ever done in my life. And I hope
there's video evidence of this.
There is video evidence. I'll email it to you. It is the craziest thing I've ever done in my life, and probably the best thing I've ever done as well, because it made it happen. So I
think sometimes you've got to push yourself into your comfort zone, haven't you, with things?
Yeah, I love a bit of pressure.
Well, it's been great speaking to you today. I'm going to say it's been great to catch up because we haven't seen each other for years. So and this all came about just for a chat, because it was it a couple of weeks ago, because I'd done an interview with Mike Dingley, who's up your way as well, isn't he? Yeah, Gold and Black is up your neck of the woods in Withall, and he went to school with Dave, didn't he, as well? I think he was in the same year at school. So we bumped into one, and he says, "Oh, I saw your video the other week," and chatting with Mike Dingley, and we got chatting. Then said, what about Chris might be interested in that, to promote the butchers. So, it was great. We got the opportunity to do this. So thanks for joining us. It's been great having you on. If you want to stay on afterwards, what we'll do is shut everything down, then just have a wash up and how things have gone.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
That's great. Well, everybody else, make sure you also look out for our other ones. We've got Muqtada Chowdhury on Tuesday, who runs a web development business in the Black Country area. So we're going to go through that with him. We've also got other spaces. Well, it's Thursday, next week. We've got that one. We've got other spaces. If you want to grab an opportunity, just contact myself or Rachel. We'll just put the email address up for you in a second. So if you want to drop Rachel or myself an email, we'll put you in for a slot. We do it normally 2 o'clock Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have did it a little bit later on a Thursday in the past, but we're trying to get to a standard time of 2 o'clock on a Tuesday and a Thursday now. So thanks ever so much, everybody, for joining us today, and hopefully see you next week. Thanks a lot.